On Friday, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged an auditing firm whose customers include Trump Media with massive fraud. This is auditing firm B.F. Borgers CPA and its owner, Benjamin Borgers. They are now suspended from practicing as accountants and have agreed to pay a combined $14 million civil penalty.
Oh no!
So now the SEC had accused Borgers of falsely claiming compliance with their audit standards, fabricating documents, making false statements, and audit reports, which have affected over 1,500 filings, which raises concerns that the accuracy of the information and reports issued by companies that they were hired to audit. So we don't know if that financial information is actually true. Now, the SEC even described B.F. Borgers as a sham audit mill for its deliberate and systemic failures to comply with audit standards. So this alleged fraud happened between January 2021 and June of 2023. At that period in time, B.F. Borgers was the auditor of Trump Media, which later merged with Digital World Acquisition Corp to become publicly traded. So that is the company, again, behind Truth Social. Trump's media board then voted to keep B.F. Borgers as their auditor for 2024, which happened to be a pretty terrible idea. So now, look, this auditor had over 350 clients, including Trump Media, and so right now there's no indication that any fraud involved Trump Media, right? They actually might be a victim. That said, would I be surprised if there was fraud that might have helped Donald Trump? Perhaps. Trump is the major owner of Trump Media, Truth Social. So let's get into more details. So earlier this week, a report came out that Mr. Borgers had a problem with spelling his own name. That's curious. Business Insider notes that he had spelled his name 14 different ways in regulatory filings for the Trump Media and Technology Group, with variations such as Ben F. Brogers and Ben F. Orgers, or I like to say Ben Forgers, leading to completely different names like Blake F. Borgers and Ben F. Vonesh. Wow, that's just weird. Now, that same report noted that TMTG hired Borgers as their auditor in January 2022 after the previous one had quit, saying that they wanted nothing to do with Trump or his business. So, what I think happened is, I bet the company's cheap, all right? You know Donald Trump, you know he don't like to pay people, all right? You know he's going to go bottom dollar for this stuff, penny pincher, all right? And so the company, from what I've read, apparently had a handful of employees who, according to the SEC, were lazy. They copied work papers from previous engagements for their clients and just would change the date. That's the only thing they would do. They just copy the stuff that they had already done, change the date to the current date, and then that's it. They turn them in, crank them out, let's go. They had also lied about something called planning meetings, which are required to discuss a client's business and to consider potential risk areas for the business. Those meetings apparently never happened. So, I mean, my first takeaway from this is, I guess you get what you pay for, right? If you're gonna hire B.F. Borgers, all right, which I continuously fight the urge to call them Beef Borgers, or to call him the Borger King or Borger Kang. I'm fighting the urge, okay? I'm fighting it. But like, all right, this is why you need to, I don't know, vet the people that you're having audit your business, okay? So now, secondly, and I think this is a more important meta point, this is why you need to fund agencies like the SEC. They are right now chronically understaffed and are facing a gigantic caseload. I am shocked that they were actually even able to, bring a case against the B.F. Borgers, right? I mean, there's a study published earlier this year in the Accounting Review noting that the heavy workload at the SEC reduces their ability to open new investigations and issue penalties for the companies they actively investigate. The study reports that, on average, the workload for an SEC regional office is 226 ongoing investigations. That is a lot. And so you can see why so many fraudsters might slip into the radar. Okay? It's not that the SEC doesn't want to do their job. It's just that they can't. They don't have the resources. They don't have the money. They don't have the staff, okay, to be able to do these detailed investigations. The only things that they can do are cases like this where it is so absolutely egregious, the fraud so open, and, you could see it, that there's no choice for them to be able to, not go after it. Okay, because it's so incredibly obvious. This guy, this Borgers guy, he's got a real problem. Okay, we're gonna have to look into this one. But by the way, there's a reason that the SEC is underfunded, and that's because of firms themselves. A lot of Wall Street firms, they fund politicians that want to cut government, especially government oversight of businesses, of corporations. I mean, look, if Trump had his way, yeah, he would cut regulations even more, and he would have been able to continue to do business with B.F. Borgers as their auditor, and they could continue to do fraud. So, look, again, I wouldn't be shocked if there are other firms that were doing fraud and getting away with it. And again, the only reason that these guys were caught is because of how transparently awful and openly corrupt this company was. So that's the lesson here. Make sure to fund these agencies. You might not think that funding the government and funding these regulatory agencies is important, but it really is, because what Borgers was doing undermines the financial stability of the government, of business, okay, of, yes, even Wall Street, because guess what? I may not be the biggest fan of Wall Street, but that doesn't mean that I want there to be rampant amounts of fraud. No, one of my problems with Wall Street is that there is so much fraud, is that there is so much, ripping off of the American people and benefiting, these CEOs and these fraudsters. The solution is to actually have a government that is not bought by these people, all right, that actually does the job of enforcing laws to ensure that businesses and consumers don't get ripped off. Not too much to ask, but once again, when you live in a regulatory environment where a lot of the regulators, where you have this revolving door between business and the organizations, the agencies that are meant to regulate it, you end up getting situations where you just don't have the cops that are on the beat to be able to take on a lot of the fraud. This is one of those examples where they actually did catch someone doing this alleged fraud. But how many more other companies that are a bit more savvy than this guy are able to get away with it right now? And that to me is the much bigger problem.